Welcome everybody to the Bhagavad Gita study series. I believe this is the 32nd class. So we are now entering the Madhyama Shatkam. Madhyama means middle. Shatkam is a collection of six chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So Madhyama Shatkam refers to the middle six chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. There are totally 18 chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, and they are divided into three Shatkams, each containing six chapters. So we'll study chapters 7 through 12. So with the last class, we completed an overview of the Prathama Shatkam, the first six chapters. Now we will see a preview of the Madhyama Shatkam. And as usual, we'd like to acknowledge Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati for the traditional rendering of Vedanta as was done for over 1,000 years, starting with Adi Shankaracharya. And we'll say a small prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutations to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankaracharya in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati. Now, it is our tradition to start each Shatkam with the Gita Dhyana Shloka. So we did it last time also, and we will do the same thing again. So I sent you the link. It is shlokam.org/Gita Dhyanam. I can put the link in the chat box if anybody wants. So you can follow along. And this is traditionally done before we chant the Bhagavad Gita. So we will start. You can mute your mics and you can chant along. It's a very beautiful dhyanam. So this dhyanam means meditation. So it gets the mind prepared and in tune to study the Bhagavad Gita. It calms the mind. So that is the entire purpose. Okay. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन क्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्पोपनिषदो गावो धोक्ता गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतथा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा धुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदिः कैवर्तककेशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थघण्टोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेशरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनापोदितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पङ्कजं कलिमलः प्रध्वंसनं श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततत्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Okay, with that we will start with the preview of the Madhyama Shatkam. As I said before, the Madhyama Shatkam is the middle 6 chapters. So the Prathama Shatkam, as we saw, concentrated on the Jiva Swarupam, nature of the Jiva. What is the Jiva again? Jiva is the reflected consciousness along with the Sukshma Shariram. Jiva is not the body. Jiva is the one that Jivayati Sharire Tat Jivaha. What lives in the body, in the physical body, is called the Jiva. So what lives in the physical body? It is the mind, the, the pancha prana, the karmendriyas, the jnanendriyas, the organs of actions, the organs of the sense organs, and the 5 pranas, and the mind and the intellect. So there were 4 parts of the mind. You can use 2 parts or the 4 parts, doesn't matter. So 17 or 19, depending on how you do. All these are the Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Shariram alone is inert. So what illumines the Sukshma Shariram? It's a reflected consciousness. It's like the sun shining, right? In every part, there is the reflection of the sun. So in every person, there is a reflected consciousness. It is reflected on the Sukshma Shariram, Chidabhasa. That is what illumines the mind and the body. So Jiva. Now, in the middle 6 chapters, we'll study Ishvara Swarupam. What is Ishvara, the nature of God? And in the last 6 chapters, we'll see Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma is Ishvara. Swarupa Aikyam. They are different. We are small, puny, but the Paramatma, the body of the Paramatma, is the entire universe. And it looks vast. We are nothing, but still it's the same consciousness which is reflecting. Like the sun shining on everything, it shines on a vast surface compared to a small surface. That's the only difference. But it's the same sun which is shining and illuminating both. Okay, and Ishvara is nothing but that consciousness along with a material object that we'll see in the next chapter, 7th chapter. Then we saw Karma Yoga as a means for purifying the mind. In the first Prathama Shatkam, in the Madhyama Shatkam, it will be Ishvara Dhyanam, meditation on the nature of Ishvara. And in the Charama Shatkam, it's Jnana Yoga. And we also saw prayatna, the individual effort. The sixth chapter, Bhagavan very clearly says, Atmaiva Kyatmano Bandhuhu, Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha, Bandhuratmatmanas Tasya, Yenatmaivatmana Jitaha, Anatmanastu Shatrutve, Vattetatmaiva Shatruvat. The mind can be one's best friend or the one's worst enemy. So individual effort is needed to move things. In the Madhyama Shatkam, it is Ishvara Anugraha. You can't do everything on your own. You need Ishvara Anugraha, the grace of God. And in the final chapter, the um, so the third point of comparison is the tool using which the sadhana is performed. So first point is the entity that is discussed. So Jiva, Ishvara, and their oneness. Second point is, what is the sadhana? What is the practice that one has to do? First is Karma Yoga, here Ishvara Dhyanam, then in the last Shatkam, Jnana Yoga. And we have this tool bag, right? What is the most important tool in this tool bag? In the first Shatkam, it's Prayatna. Second, it's Ishvara Anugraha. It's not really a tool, but it's the grace of God, getting the grace of God. And third, it's Satguna, or values to purify the mind. And we saw this organization of the three Shatkams is based on the Mahavakyam called Tat Twamasi. So when you rewrite it, it is Tvam Tat Asi. Tvam is you, Tat is that, which is God, Asi is R, or oneness. Okay, so that's the Mahavakyam, means great statement. Here it means a great equation. You don't write an equation to say 8 is equal to 8. You write an equation to say 9 minus 4 is equal to 16 minus, or 9 minus 5 is 16 minus 12. Okay, so because both sides look slightly different, or you can say 9 minus 5 is equal to 1004 minus 1000. On the other side, large numbers, 1004 and 1000. This side, small numbers, but still the result is same. That is Jiva and Paramatma. Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, with that, so the entire Madhyama Shatkam is preparation for Ishvara Darshanam. In the 11th chapter, Bhagavan gives Vishwarupa Darshanam. So the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th chapters are preparation for the Vishwarupa Darshanam. Vishwarupa Darshanam means looking at the creation as Ishvara, because it is Ishvara that evolved into matter creation. So that is Vishwarupa Darshanam. Vishwarupam is Vishwam is the entire universe, looking at the entire universe creation as Ishvara. So chapter 7 is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. That's the chapter we are going to study next. And Bhagavan uses these technical terms. He uses the term jnana. Jnana means knowledge. He refers to it as ordinary knowledge. And he says Vijnana, special knowledge. V is a qualifier, so special. Vishesha jnana, it is a special knowledge. And what are those two knowledge? We'll see that soon. So the Bija Shloka is from the sixth chapter. Remember, certain chapters have a seed chapter in the seed shloka in the previous chapter. That is called the bija. Bija means seed. That forms the basis for the next chapter. So here, the bija shloka is the last shloka of the sixth chapter. Yogi namapi sarvesham matkate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatamo mataha. Of all yogis, those with their innermost self merged in me worship me with faith. So it is Ishvara Dhyanam. Them I consider to be the most steadfast or devout. Okay. So intro to Ishvara Swarupa Jnanam. So these are topics in the 7th chapter. Knowledge of the nature of God. Bhagavan defines this. Then he defines Jnanam, ordinary knowledge, or Saguna Ishvara Jnanam. Saguna means with gunas. So that is with a form like Krishna, Rama, all that, even Vishnu. Saguna Ishvara knowledge, knowledge of the God with form. Then Bhagavan introduces a term called Vijnanam, the special knowledge. What is this? Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam, knowledge of the God without form. And then he discusses Ishvara Swarupam, nature of God. What is Ishvara? How do you define this? Then Samsara Karanam and Samsara Pariharaha, cause and remedy of human suffering, cycle of births and deaths. Then he defines the two types of bhakti. Sakama bhakti, the lower form, with desires. You worship God, so you get more money or you get a promotion, whatever. Um, Nishkama bhakti, higher form. So sakama with kama, with desires. Nishkama means it's a higher form to get liberation. So it is bhakti for the sake of bhakti. That is Nishkama bhakti, the higher form of bhakti. And then Bhagavan in this chapter introduces a very important concept called the material and intelligent cause behind any object. We've touched upon this before. So you see this carving. So if you say what this is, people will say, okay, elephant. But what is it actually? It is just wood. So upadana karanam means material cause. Nimitta karanam means intelligent cause. So it's just ordinary wood, but there's some sculptor who's intelligent, who's giving it this form as an elephant. Okay, so material cause is wood, the instrumental or intelligent cause is the sculptor. Similarly, Ishvara consists of two parts, nature of Ishvara. One is the para, Bhagavan calls it para prakriti, apareyamitas twanyam, prakritim vitti me param, para prakriti, he calls it. Yeah, it's apareyam, it's greater than this ordinary form. That is the pure consciousness. This is the intelligent cause. The apara prakriti is the lower nature. It is the material universe, the material cause. So Bhagavan defines two terms, the consciousness and the material nature. The material nature of the universe evolved from what you call Maya. Maya, it can be loosely, you can say it as energy. Matter and energy are interconvertible. So at the pralayam, when everything the entire universe collapses, so there's pralayam and then there's srishti, right? The entire universe manifests and then becomes unmanifest. Pralayam is when it becomes unmanifest. All the matter, what happens to matter, energy? They all become Maya. So consciousness and Maya, these are the two things in the universe. From this Maya comes this matter. And who does that? The consciousness does that. That is the intelligent cause. This is explanation of creation. Bhagavan briefly touches on this. This is the topic of Upanishads. Okay, he tells this in this chapter. And what are the features of Ishvara or Bhagavan? Bhagavan consists of both the para prakriti, the consciousness, and para means great, beyond, supreme. Apara means not supreme, the lower nature, which is Maya, or from which the matter evolves. So Bhagavan is para prakriti plus apara prakriti. Then Jagat, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam. Bhagavan is these are all the features of Bhagavan. What is Bhagavan? So Bhagavan is something which has all these features. He is Bhagavan, he or she or it is the creator, preserver, and destroyer of the universe. Srishti, creator, Sthiti, preserver, Laya, destroyer or resolver, you can say. It's not like he is destroying. Everything resolves back. That's all it is. Then again it sends Visirjami Punah Punaha. Bhagavan says, I release them, I just resolve and then release them again. So it's like a cycle going on. And then Vishwarupa Ishvaraha. What is Bhagavan's form? Bhagavan's form is the entire universe. And Bhagavan is Satya, which means it has permanent existence. Jagat is Mithya. So Ishvara has independent existence because Ishvara is consciousness. and part of Ishvara's consciousness. So in consciousness has permanent existence, whereas Jagat, this entire creation, when it resolves into Maya, it's not existent anymore. Whereas consciousness is still existent. So universe has dependent existence. It depends on the consciousness. Okay, and this consciousness and the Maya, they are together. This is Ishvara. Both become Ishvara. That is God, what you call God. Characteristics of Maya. Maya means the deluding principle. Why is it called deluding? It is seemingly there, but then at some point it goes away. Same thing, you can say, okay, this is a nice solid chair, but after 200 years, this is going to be recycled into something else for sure. So this is called Maya. So all these things, it is there. Bhagavan later, we will use a term called Mithya. We'll come to that. So it's seemingly there, but it's not there. So Maya is the deluding principle. So Maya is, you can loosely call it energy. From Maya comes both energy and matter. So when things resolve, it becomes Maya. When things are created, from Maya comes all the matter. And it is inherent in apara prakriti due to the gunas. Maya is very powerful and difficult to be. Mama Maya duratyaya, Bhagavan says, Maya metam tarantite. So only by the bhakti to Bhagavan, one can cross over this Maya. It is very, and it's difficult to be conquered by one's intellect alone because it deludes you. So you need Ishvara Anugraha. This is where the Ishvara Anugraha comes in. Maya is a property of apara prakriti, the lower nature. It belongs to para prakriti, Ishvara, because it is dependent on the consciousness. Maya alone can't do anything. It'll just be stagnant like this. It is the sculptor that gives all these different forms to the Maya. Understood? And Maya can only be conquered through bhakti. Mama Maya duratya, very difficult to cross. Mayam etam tarantite. So those who can cross over this ocean of Maya, it's only through bhakti. And then, so he has laid the stage for bhakti, devotion. This will be elaborated in the 12th chapter, but this is because we saw that, right? One of the sadhanas here is Ishvara Dhyanam. So that is through bhakti. So he sets the stage for bhakti. There are three types of bhakti. Manda bhakti or dull devotion. It is the lowest form of bhakti. It is a pursuit of artha, kama, and sometimes dharma, using Bhagavan as the means. I want something, I will worship God, all that. Madhyama bhakti, intermediate stage. Okay, this is Bhagavan becomes the end in itself. That is, you realize the wonder of Bhagavan and you have no asks. You don't say, I want a nice house, please help me, Bhagavan. So all those, you don't even ask for health. You just, Bhagavan, see the glory. I want to merge with Bhagavan. I want to merge with Bhagavan. This is, please accept me, Bhagavan. I want to merge in you. This is the intermediate stage. And finally, Uttama Bhakti, the supreme form is Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Bhagavan. It is the same consciousness shining on this Bhagavan that is shining in me. So, and finally, in this 18th chapter, Bhagavan says, Ishvara Sarpa Bhutanam Hriddeshepyuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarpa Bhutani Yantrarudani Mayaya. Ishvara is in the hearts of all beings, and he or she or it makes everybody go around and do things. Yantra arurani, such a beautiful words. Yantra is a machine. Think of this. Those days they were having the wheel pots, right? The potters will spin a wheel and they will do all those things. These days they don't do it that way. But yantra, it's a machine. Yantra arurani, like a like this pot mounted on a machine. So you will see the analogy of human beings to a pot, um, again, and a ghatam. So yantra, like a pot mounted on a machine, the wheel, like that. The Ishvara makes us and go and do things. Apparently, that is from the gunas of Prakriti. Okay, so two types of bhakti: Sakama bhakti, Nishkama bhakti. So there are three levels of bhakti and two types of bhakti. Sakama means with desires, Nishkama means no desires. You sing the supreme glory. You just want to merge with the Ishvara. That is Nishkama bhakti, without any, oh, I want this, I want that. It's gone. This is the superior form of bhakti, Bhagavan says. Sakama involves worshipping various deities for gaining material benefits. Bhagavan says, even if you worship all the deities, everything comes to me finally. It's called Sakama Bhakti. Nishkama Bhakti involves worshipping for liberation. Nishkama Bhakti is better than Sakama Bhakti. Okay. The three defects of material gain. So Bhagavan does not say Sakama Bhakti is bad. So very clear. You can worship. The Vedas very clearly says you can worship to gain health, wealth, everything in good ways, even desires. You want to get married to a beautiful woman or a handsome man, all those are acceptable desires. So, yeah, it's Sakama Bhakti, but there are few catches. The three defects of material gain, worldly, or even the Swargaloka, material gain in this world, or even the heaven, Swarga, has three doshas. Dosha means defect. Dukkha Mishritvam, nature of being mixed with pain. Always, when this thing is gone, you will feel sorrow. Parinama tapa samskara dukkai gunavritti virodascha dukkameva sarpam vivekinaha. In the Yoga Sutras it says, Parinama tapa samskara dukkha, three types of dukkha: the pain of loss, the pain of anticipation, and the pain of wanting. All these things, the wise know. Dukkameva sarpam vivekinaha. Vivekinaha, the wise people, they know all. Any gain, it is material gain, it causes dukkha. Nature of being dukkha mishritvam means nature of being mixed with pain. It's not pure pleasure. Atripti karatvam, nature of causing lack of fulfillment due to the finite nature. Material gain is finite. Finite cannot give fulfillment. You always want more and more. Then bandhakatvam, bondage or addiction. It causes bondage or addiction. That's why in the 5th chapter it says, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nate shuramate buddha. All this samsparshaja bhoga, all this enjoyment that comes due to contact with the sense objects, dukkayonaya evate, always result in suffering. Adi antavantaha kaunteya, they have a beginning and end. Nateshu ramate buddha, the wise don't rejoice too much. They enjoy it, but they don't get attached to it too much. Even the gain of swarga, heavens, is limited. So we've seen this shloka. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam Shine punye matyalokam vishanti Yevam trayi dharmam anuprapanna Gata gatam kama kama labante. Like snakes and ladders, people, they do in olden days, at least, they were doing a lot of all these yajnas so that they can go to the heavens, swargalokas. And in some religions that's also the case. So you do certain things, then you apparently go and enjoy a lot of things in heavens. After enjoying the pleasures of the grand, how is swargaloka? It defines vishalam swargam. Vishalam means very grand. It's like Las Vegas, very everything is grand. And after enjoying the pleasures of the grand Swargaloka, when the merit runs out, so it's like spending. You go and spend in the casinos, and once it runs out, then you come back. They enter where? Matyalokam, the mortal world, world of deaths. Matyalokam Vishanti. Then the those who follow the threefold Vedas, desiring objects of desires, come and go in this fashion. Like the snakes and ladders, they go up and then boom, come all the way down. So that's how it works. And the Bija Shloka, so this is the seventh chapter. The Bija Shloka for the eighth chapter is the last shloka of the seventh chapter. Bhagavan says, Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam cha ye viduhu prayana kale picha mam te vidur yukta chetasakha. So he's introducing different terms, Adi Bhutam, Adi Daivam, Adi Yajnam, and Prayana Kala Smaranam. Prayana Kala Ishvara Smaranam. How do you remember God at the time of death? In fact, the eighth chapter, so the eighth chapter begins with eighth chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga. So, and it begins with Akshara Brahma Paramam. So it's called Akshara Brahma Yoga. But the real topic of the chapter is Prayana Kala Ishvara Smaranam. Prayana Kala means the time of pilgrimage. What pilgrimage? Leaving the body. So for the jiva, leaving the body. Prayana Kala Ishvara Smaranam. Remembering God at the time of the pilgrimage, when the when the jiva is ready to leave the body. That's the actual, because as you're going to see now, the entire chapter, other than some 5-6 verses, is about Ishvara Dhyanam. When Ishvara Dhyanam? At the time of death. So Akshara Brahma Yoga. And eighth chapter is an explanation of the last two verses of the seventh chapter. Krishna introduces 6 technical terms. Krishna also introduced the concept of remembering God at the time of death. So Krishna answers, Arjuna first asks what these terms mean. Krishna answers the 6 terms in 2 shlokas, not even 6 shlokas. See, 6 terms in 2 shlokas, and he spends 24 shlokas on remembering God at the time of death. Why is he doing all this? So when you remember God at the time of death, we'll see you go through heavens, and then in the heavens, what happens? You get instructed by Brahmaji himself. He gives you instructions. Bhagavan says, why do you have to? And he says, when not just remembering God at the time of death, he says, you prana, all that, you have to send murthyana, you have to send your prana through the murthyana, the sahasrara chakra. So the top of the skull, you have to do all that. You have to be expert in pranayama. So Bhagavan says, why suffer all that? Just understand Nirguna Ishvara uh, you know, jnanam. Study Nirguna Ishvara, the consciousness. Because what is that consciousness? The consciousness is I. If you say there is Ishvara, this is this form, then Ishvara is separate, you are separate. I am Alpatma, that is Paramatma. Alpa means little, mere. Paramatma is supreme. Whereas Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam, without this, it's the same consciousness there and here. Understood? Bhagavan says that is better because you don't have to do all this pranayama. We'll see that. Eighth chapter is considered an odd chapter. It's placed between the 7th and the 9th. The 7th and the 9th, they are very similar. The contents are very similar. Because it's so important, Bhagavan repeats it. And the highlight is moksha through nishkama, nirguna, ishvara bhakti in the 7th and the 9th. Nishkama means without desires, not saguna ishvara, not with form, not Krishna Rama. Nirguna ishvara bhakti. It is called sadhyo muktihi or jivan muktihi. Sadhyo means instant liberation. Whereas he's going to say the 8th chapter, nishkama, saguna, that is still you have no desires. I want to just, oh Krishna, just I want to get absorbed in you. When you go like that, Krishna is separate, you are separate. So this type of moksha is called krama muktihi, liberation. It is krama means stages. So vinyasa krama, there's a form of yoga, right? Krama, it's stages. You don't go straight, you go through heavens, Swargaloka, and there Brahmaji gives 24 hours, 24/7 discourse, and you learn it from Brahmaji, and then you graduate. Whereas Bhagavan says there's a much easier way, Nishkama Nirguna Ishvara Bhakti. And he also acknowledged Nirgunam Ishvara means how do you visualize something without form? And that is where Bhagavan, he's been giving the hints since the 6th chapter. Remember that that is the same thing here. So go inward. So the 8th chapter is about Krama Muktihi, liberation through several stages. 8th chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga only because Krishna's teaching starts with Akshara Brahma Paramam. The title should have been Prayana Kala Ishvara Smarana Yoga. It is indirect liberation through Nishkama. Saguna Ishvara means Krishna, Rama, Kali, Durga, all that. Bhakti. Liberation through unselfish worship of God with attributes. Krama Mukti involves remembering God at the time of death. For this, one has to practice Saguna Ishvara Upasana for a length of time. How can you remember? What do you remember at the time of death? If somebody keeps thinking about ice cream all the time, they will only remember ice cream at the time of death. So Bhagavan here says, you have to cultivate Saguna Ishvara Upasana for a long tens of years. That's when it becomes part of your samskara, your imprint in the body. So at the time of death, the only thing you'll think about is Saguna Ishvara. Okay, but this is a roundabout means. He says then one goes to Brahmaloka, attains the knowledge for liberation and gets liberated. Indirect and difficult path compared to Sadhyo Mukti, instant liberation, like instant food, instant noodles, all that. So the paths are, first people Sakama Saguna Ishvara Bhakti. Okay, they go to Krishna saying, oh, I want Lakshmi for wealth, all that stuff. Then Nishkama Saguna Ishvara Bhakti. Still they worship, oh Krishna, I want to melt with you, I want to become one with you. And then from here, two paths. Some people graduate onto Nishkama Nirguna Ishvara Bhakti. That is, the Krishna is gone. It's now Brahman. That same consciousness everywhere in the universe, which is in me. And that leads to Sadhyo Mukti, instant liberation, the topics of chapter 7 and 9. Whereas if you still think of only of Krishna, you have to go through a long path, Prayana Kala Ishvara Smaranam. Remember God at the time of death, you apparently go to Brahma Loka, you gain knowledge and you attain Mukti. Okay, so this is how Bhuloka 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finally is Brahmaloka. You go all the way there, and then Naralokas, there are 7 of them there. So from the earth, Bhuloka, all the way to Brahmaloka, and you get instructed by Brahmaji himself, and then you graduate Mukti. So this is what is described in the 8 chapters. Bhagavan tells about 2 goals for people, God and everything other than God. The 2 destination, Krishna Gati, all destinations below Brahmaloka, Shukla Gati, destination to Brahmaloka, and the glory of the Nishkama Upasaka. Then comes the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter is very similar to the 7th chapter. The 9th chapter is the reason it is there is it is kind of a repetition with in a slightly different way. Bhagavan calls it Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam, the king of all knowledge and king of all secrets. Is again the Jnana Vijnana. He's calling it Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga. So if you see the contents, they're very similar. Introduction to knowledge of the nature of God with and without attributes. Nature of God explained, both forms. Here, nature of God without attributes explained, because he's already talked enough about with attributes. So he's only going to talk about nature of God without attributes. And here he doesn't talk about with attributes, without attributes. Introduction straight away goes to nature of God without attributes. There is no Krishna, Rama, nothing in this chapter. Only consciousness, Nirguna Brahman. And he again talks about human samsara, cause and remedy, and two types of bhakti based on motives and greatness of bhakti. So as I have said before, chapter 8 is an odd chapter because it deals with Saguna Ishvara Bhakti, devotion of God with attributes. Saguna Ishvara Bhakti is inferior to Nirguna Ishvara Bhakti, devotion of God without attributes. Bhagavan acknowledged it's difficult, it's seemingly difficult, but it's very easy. Why is it very easy? Why is it difficult? Because how do you visualize a God without any attributes? Why is it easy? Because that the same thing is inside. That which is the sakshi, when you meditate, what sees the mind, that is this consciousness. Do you understand? It seems difficult, but it's actually very easy, Bhagavan says. Chapter 8 talks about krama mukti, roundabout liberation. Chapter 9 talks about instant liberation, sadhyo mukti. Then, so we saw the different portions of chapter 9. Then, here a very important concept Bhagavan introduces. It is the concept of mithya. So, in this chapter, so what Bhagavan does, so one way of doing this, um, it's in seemingly confusing way. You say one thing, and in the next shloka, you negate it. You say, this thing happens, the next shloka you say this thing doesn't happen. This can just absolutely confuse people. So in fact, Swamiji says, I wish this shloka were not there in this chapter, because if you don't understand it, it can be so confusing. So you say something and then you negate it to show something is not permanent. This is the concept of mithya. So Bhagavan in the um, ninth chapter, fourth shloka, he says, Maya tatamidam sarpam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarpa bhutani nachaham teshvavastitah. So Bhagavan says, Matstani sarva bhutani nachaham tesh avastitah. So let's see. I will try to pull that sloka. Okay, fourth shloka. So the concept of mithya is introduced, and what does he say? He says that all beings exist in being. Matstani sarva bhutani. All beings are in me. Nachaham teshu avastitah. I am na cha aham teshu avastitah. I am not supported in them. So this is what he says. And then the next shloka, let's see what he's going to say. Fifth chapter, he says, Matstani sarva bhutani. And he immediately say, Nacha matstani bhutani. All beings do not dwell in me. So what does he previously says? All beings exist in me. And then he says, all beings do not exist in me. Do you see? Confusing? Nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaram bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So there are things like this in the Bhagavad Gita. If you don't know the reasoning, it can be extremely confusing. And that's because Bhagavan is going to introduce the concept of mithya. What is mithya? Mithya is something that is seemingly existent, but upon closer examination is not existent. There are many things like that. One example that's given in Vedanta is a dream. When the dream is getting played out, it is a nightmare or a very pleasant dream. It is there, you're enjoying or you're getting scared. After the dream is over, when you wake up, it's not there. I mean, you don't even realize that. So this is called mithya. You cannot deny it because it did trouble you. Your body reacted, all that happened. Your heart started racing. All kinds of things happened. You cannot deny that it had an effect on you. But When you wake up, it's gone. So this is called mithya. And the other example that's given is, so what is it? Seemingly existent, but upon closer examination, it's not existent. Look at all the ornaments. So you can say bangle, chain, uh, earring, all that stuff. All ornaments exist in gold. So when you look closely at all these ornaments, you only see gold. There's no ornament because it's just gold in this form. You don't say chain, you just say gold because that's the essential nature. You understand? It's a very subtle point. All gold ornaments exist in gold. The chain exists in gold. Gold does not exist in the chain, in the sense that gold does not depend on the chain. Chain is nothing but gold. Gold exists on its own. So gold is satya, chain is mithya. Gold is independent, chain is dependent. Chain can be deformed into something else, it will no longer be a chain. You can, from a chain, you can create a bangle. It'll still be gold. So gold is permanent, chain is impermanent. This is called mithya. It gets a name form. It is circular, so it's like a bangle. Okay, so this concept is introduced in this chapter. Why is this concept introduced? That which has got an existence of low order of reality is mithya. Why is that introduced? Important lesson. Do not depend on worldly things for support. They are transitory and cannot provide support. Very important thing. From one angle, it exists, so you think, aha, you can get support from this. No, it'll go away like this. The only thing that can give support is this consciousness that you are. Rely on that. That is the important lesson in the 9th chapter. Then the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, glories. Bhagavan says, all these manifestations, they are my divine manifestation. The sun, he gives example for all that. Of all the mountain ranges, I am the Himalayas. Of all the water bodies, I am the ocean, the biggest water body. So he picks examples from different things. And he says, of all the serpents, I am Vasuki. Anantaschasmi Naganam, of all um, the non-poisonous snakes, I am Ananta, the Ananta Sayanam. So Bhagavan introduces Ishvara Vibhuti, the glories, and he briefly explains Ishvara's Swarupam and Vibhuti, and Arjuna requests, please show me your glories. And Bhagavan gives a very detailed explanation of his glories. And here there's also the concept of Brahman and Maya, which is given, the father and the mother principles for the creation of the universe. The example given is a spider. The spider is both the instrumental and the material cause for the universe. So it is given in the Mundaka Upanishad as the spider creates and absorbs, as medicinal plants grow from the earth, as hairs grow from a living person, so the universe proceeds from this immortal consciousness. That is the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. Upadana Karanam is material cause. Nimitta Karanam is instrumental cause. Abhinna means it is, Bhinna is different, Abhinna is not different. Okay. And then finally, Bhagavan goes to the give. So Arjuna has heard about all this. And then he says, let me see all those glories that you talked about. I want to see all these fascinating things in the universe. And Bhagavan here says, you are not ready because your meditation and all that, your mind is so scattered. You cannot see the beauty in the universe. When the sun rises, you don't know what powers the sun. When the earth goes around, you don't know what powers the earth, this gravitational field, force. Where does that power come from? It is my glory, Bhagavan says. And Arjuna wants to see that. So Bhagavan says, you can't see that because your mind is not ready. I will give you divine eyesight. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. See my divine Divyam chakshu dadami. I'll give you divine eyes. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. See my divine glories. So it's a culmination of the nature of Ishvara described in 7, 9, and 10. Ishvara is both the instrumental and the material cause, and blessed by Brahman, one material cause exists as multiple forms in the universe. And we saw there's names and forms. There's only gold, ring, chain, they're all names. And Ishvara similarly evolved into the universe. All names and forms in the universe resolved into Ishvara. So when we look at the world as the embodiment of Ishvara, it is called Vishwarupa Darshanam. Vishwarupa Darshanam is not the view of an extraordinary object. It is an extraordinary attitudinal view towards an ordinary universe. That is the Vishwarupa Darshanam. Natu mam shakya se drashtum anenaiva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogam aishwaram. You cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. I will grant you divine vision. Behold my majestic opulence, Bhagavan says. This is also attitudinal versus physical appreciation. Swamiji gives this example. He gives this example of a cricket bat. You can also have a baseball bat. When the baseball bat or the cricket bat is used by a famous player, it becomes an antique. It sells for 10,000 times its original value. So what it is an attitudinal change towards that. Why is it so expensive? Because of the attitudinal change. Similarly, this view that you have, the Vishwarupa Darshanam, it is from the attitudinal change. Oh my God, this consciousness, Brahman, this is what is creating this force. This is what is making me see. That attitudinal change is called Vishwarupa Darshana. It is not seeing all these fireworks, all the blah blah blah. So Bhagavan with 1,000 heads, 1,000 stomachs, 1,000 arms. No, no, that is it's just to glorify everything, but it is looking at things in a special way. It requires tremendous intellectual drill and mental refinement because we are not seeing anything new, but we are seeing something old with a new attitude. And only then Vishwarupa Darshanam can be understood properly. So that's why Krishna gives 4 chapters of training before showing that to Arjuna. So that is the Vishwarupa Darshanam. So we saw Ekarupa Bhaktaha, like one particular god, then Anekarupa Bhaktaha, cosmic form. The Madhyama Bhaktaha, or the intermediate student, sees the entire universe as God. Then the Nirguna Brahman, or the Uttama Bhaktaha, advanced student, sees I am the same thing that is in God. I am that consciousness. Okay. Then finally, Bhakti Yoga, culmination. So we saw that Madhyama Shatkam is all about Ishvara Dhyanam, Bhakti. So culmination is 12th chapter called Bhakti Yoga. Final chapter in the Madhyama Shatkam focuses on the nature of God or Ishvara Swarupam. It culminates with how to know God through Bhakti. It's a short chapter of 20 verses, but it contains the essence of the Vedas. It removes many confusions regarding Bhakti. Bhakti is not a separate sadhana. It covers both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Vedas do not use the term Bhakti. So, for example, we saw this. People ask, where does meditation fit in this thing? Upasana is meditation, Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga? Meditation fits into both. The lower stages of meditation is Karma Yoga, where you get the mind to be still. Once the mind is still, you can use it like a torchlight to shine here or there. Then it becomes Jnana Yoga. Like that, Bhakti, the lower form of Bhakti is Karma Yoga to purify. The higher form of Bhakti is Jnana Yoga. Highest form of Bhakti, Bhagavan will say it's Jnana. Okay. So, 2 topics in the 12th chapter, Bhakti Yoga and qualities of a great devotees. Para Bhakta Lakshanani, qualities. and he gives 5 rungs for climbing the bhakti ladder. Karma phala tyagam. Karma phala means fruits of actions, giving up the desire for the fruits of actions. We saw that in the 3rd chapter, right, on karma yoga. Then karma ishwararpanam, all doing all this karma for a greater good. We saw what is called yajna, as worship for a greater good. Ishwararpanam, to God or something greater. Abhyasa yoga, it's basically meditation. And then saguna ishvara upasana, God with form, meditate on a God with form. Finally, jnana yoga, that is, I am that consciousness. Okay, so that is, it gives you a preview of what is to come for the next several months. I will stop the recording now.